Welcome everyone to our first online networking of 2021. For those who thought, okay, we've turned the calendar page, everything's hunky dory. Well, surprise! It's not quite so much. But we're just plugging along. Still, obviously, partial, full quarantine, whatever the heck. But
Yeah.
we'll do what
Special
we need to do to
medication.
keep ourselves safe and healthy, and that's the important thing. But let's go around because we do have some new faces, and I absolutely love this. And so let's go around quickly and introduce yourselves. And Catherine, I'm going to save you for last, even though you're in the Marsha corner, which is normally where I start. But Mandy, please welcome. We are so glad that you joined us. Let us know just a little bit about yourself. And she has to move to another
Hi.
room
Yeah,
since
I'm
I'm
sorry.
assuming he's having to do work in there. I saw
Yeah,
that. Yeah, that's
he's on a
okay.
call. I know Catherine
Great.
through receiving school, and
Wonderful.
I am just trying to get myself organized, get my life in order. I'm on the floor because my desk is a mess and papers are everywhere. Trying to get back into my creative artwork and just get things organized so I can do that more efficiently.
Great. I love it. I love it. Well, Mr. One Day Older, Brian Basilico, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm all choked up. I'm sorry. Hi, Brian Basilico, B2B Interactive Marketing. I work with larger companies and help them bridge the gap between marketing and sales. And I had to get up at 5 o'clock this morning, take the dog to dog daycare so I could do a presentation at 7:30 for a sales institute. And so I'm just sitting here just in la la land.
I love it. I love it.
That extra year hit you awfully hard.
I know. You get one of those zeros after those numbers, and it's like, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, no, the zeros definitely are milestones.
Yep. So cool. But we made it. I mean, that's the important thing.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, it's better to get a zero than not.
Yeah. So cool. All right, Suze, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, apparently Debbie and I grew up in the same place. I'm from Walden. I came back to Walden because I wanted to help. Working in Jackson County Lodging Tax Panel at least for 2 more weeks. Matt has given me permission to keep squatting here, so Suze is hard to get rid of sometimes.
I know, that's all right.
So my big thing is getting people up to our hometown and sharing the beauty that we have up here. He's talking about going downhill skiing and stuff. Deb said, cross country, we got some beautiful areas.
Oh yeah, gorgeous, and plenty of room for social distancing up there.
Room to roam is our tagline.
Yep. Cool. All right.
We had our fishing contest this weekend, and we had probably, I'd say, 400 or 500 people on the lake.
Cool. Yeah. So for those of you who aren't used to, they do ice fish, and when the ice gets about 36 inches thick, that's good ice fishing. So yeah. Oh,
they had
not
some
me.
Monsters.
I went once. Only once. So, but cool. Yeah. All right, Miss Judy, what's up with you, ma'am?
Good morning. I'm Judy Taylor. I live outside of DC in Rockville, Maryland. I grew up in DC, but spent most of my adult life in Colorado, where I met wonderful people such as Deb Creer, and I'm glad we've connected via Zoom. I'm a writer, have been a writer most of my career. I can do content writing, researched writing, some technical writing. And I also have an education degree, and I'm finding that that's the market need right now is where I live, English as a second language. So I have 2 things. I am getting a vaccination so I can go back and see people.
Perfect. I love it. Well, okay, it says Zeph.
Hi, everybody. I'm a friend of Catherine, and I got the information about the event through the email. So what I do is I'm a remote virtual event producer and live broadcasting consultant.
Okay.
primarily helping anyone who's looking to produce, create a virtual event, vendor shows, trade shows, conferences, summits, even a live broadcast, TV production quality, then I'm that person for you.
Perfect. I love it. Wait, we lost Henry. Henry, come back. Tell us about yourself. Oh, you're muted.
Oh, here I am, y'all. Here I am.
Hey,
I'm still here in Georgia. I'm originally from Louisiana, Shreveport, Louisiana. I moved here to Georgia when I was a little baby. It's been like over 30 years, so I grew up here most of my entire life, to be honest. And I teach private lessons virtually and stuff like that. And not only that, I also provide personal assisting, consulting, free consulting, and plus I do maintain a full-time job with FedEx as a package handler, which is a lot of hard work. So I love what I do. I do what I do, and plus I came from a family who had different backgrounds, different talents, and stuff like that. So something I'm very grateful for.
Wonderful. I love it. Well, for everyone, especially since we have a couple new folks, please put your connection information in the chat feature, how you'd like to be connected. Put whatever you want, your LinkedIn, your email, your Facebook. I'm going to go ahead and put my personal Facebook page in the chat feature. Please put your information there. I did put LinkedIn. I think most of us are most comfortable with being connected on LinkedIn. But if you do that, remember to tell us this is where we met, so we don't think it's a spam. But with that, let's go ahead and jump into our program, because this is going to be so much fun. And as I was thinking about what we wanted to do for the year, I was having trouble getting my act together. And so I thought, why not have somebody talk about how we can get our acts together? And so, of course, I thought of the wonderful Catherine Avery. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and Catherine, I'm going to turn it over to you. Have at it, my dear.
All right. Fun times. So my company is productivitybydesign.com. And I am a productivity consultant and an ADHD or brain-based challenges coach, depending. Some of my clients also have a traumatic brain injury, so not just ADHD. And ironically, when we set this up, Deb said, hey, do you want to come Jan 12 or Jan 26? And I said, Jan 12, because we can talk about habits versus New Year's resolutions. Get this, Deb, yesterday was National Clear Your Desk Day. So the timing is spot on. I love, what is that? Kismet, universe, energy. I'm a big believer in all that. So that was pretty cool. I like that very much. And we are going to talk a little bit about your space. Where I want to start, though, is New Year's resolutions. I think New Year's resolutions are a myth. They just don't work. We make this big, giant goal. I'm going to lose 25 pounds. And 3 weeks into the new year, we're eating Oreos and going out for ice cream. Not good or bad, no judgment. I am a judgment-free zone. So I'm hoping when we have some questions here, people don't even worry about what you ask, because I'm very open. So I've decided that it's really about shifting, making very, very tiny shifts in our habits. So I'll tell you my latest one that you're going to really get a kick out of the irony. My latest habit is a girlfriend of mine said, every morning I read for an hour and I learn so much. And I thought, my gosh, I could never read for an hour. I don't have that kind of time in my life. I'm a morning person. She's a night owl. So I love to get my work done first thing in the morning. But I did notice that I sort of have this habit in the morning of getting up and just messing around on my iPad for no reason. Facebook, the news, whatever. And I thought, what if I can make this tiny shift of a habit and read a business book every morning in that time? One chapter at a time, one tiny little bite-sized chapter. And the book I chose to start with is James Clear's Atomic Habits, which is all about how we make tiny shifts in order to get better and be more successful. And I laughed because it was hilarious that that happened to be the book that I had read, maybe, I'm going to make this up, 3 chapters of. So I do have ADHD. I am a person whose brain has 50 tabs open at once. Yes, I will say on my internet, I often have 50 tabs open at once as well. I'm not suggesting that's a good habit. It's not. It is a habit I am trying to shift so that I get down to maybe 20 tabs open at any given time. I have those tabs open because I don't feel like constantly relogging in, but that's still a really bad excuse. I need to be not having so many things open at once. It doesn't bother me, and I actually have them spread out. So I have more than one Google Chrome open at any given time. So I have about 4 at any given. So there's like 5 tabs in each one. Anyway, and I actually categorize them. I know I'm crazy. So where can we make tiny little shifts in our habits, our business, our lives that will help us be more successful? So for me, reading a business book. And what happened is, as I was reading this business book, I realized I was mining tons of gems of great information that I could share with folks. And so I was actually putting those notes into my iPad. And if you are reading on your Kindle, you can share text. So there's something that says like share a quote. If you switch over to the tab, to the next tab over, it's share text, and then you can save your text into your iPad notes section. Just a little. Wasn't planning on giving that pointer, but it's there, so I'm going to mention it. So what I want to talk about as possible habits to shift is in the world of productivity. And so I help people unclutter their space, their time, and their information. So I'll start with space. National Clear Your Desk Day. What I would say to anyone, if you're starting out trying to declutter a bit, is to start with your desk. So I have a white desk. I look at it as white space. It helps me be creative. Lots of creative people say, and they're not wrong, that they are more creative when they have a mess around them. I used to say that too. I don't anymore because I've actually found I kind of switched, and I'm more creative when I don't have a mess around me. I really am in the fan club of don't criticize people. They are where they are. So if right now you're sitting with a bunch of clutter, that's cool. If that's working for you, great. If it's not working for you, give me a shout. I'd love to help you with it. There are little systems you can put in place. The system I use is to clear my desk at the end of each day. You really got to do the full decluttering before you can clear your desk at the end of each day, but you could start there. So you could say, I'm going to take a timer in for 5 or 10 minutes, whatever you can kind of stand. Because for me, my personal threshold on organizing anything with an organizer here is 3 hours. By 3 hours, I'm like, get out of my house. I don't want to see you ever again. And then she comes back the next week because she knows. So I literally have someone I hire who comes 2 to 3 hours a week to help me organize my house, because I'm really good at this in the office and I really suck at it in my home. So I've got to have someone, I know how to do it. I just don't want to. Don't want to. I'm 55, acting like a 12-year-old. Don't want to do it. So the first thing is to clear your desk. And then you want to think about your desk. If you're a right-handed person, I'm sure this is backwards for all of you, sorry. If you're a right-handed person, you want to have your inbox stuff on your left, what you're working on in the middle, and your outbox on the right. That being said, my inbox and my outbox are both on my right because that's the way it lays out best on my desk. But I don't really have anyone coming into my office, so I don't need it to be easily accessible for somebody else. And quite frankly, I don't have a lot that goes into my inbox. I don't know about most of you. Almost everything I do now is online. Very little is paper per se. Thank God, because I really struggle with organizing paper, which is why I got into this industry, was so that I can help other people who struggle too. Next thing, while we're talking about paper, oh, by the way, left-handed people, let me not ignore you. You would do the opposite. You would put your inbox on your right, what you're working on your middle, and then what's the outbox on the left. This is the natural way we flow if you're a lefty or a righty. So I just wanted to not ignore my left-handed folks. Stacks of paper. There are people in the world who are pilers, and there are people in the world who are filers. Again, no good or bad. It's easy for us to say, oh, filers are the best. Guess what? Some people stuff their files filled with clutter and junk and they can't see it. So the difference between a piler and a filer is simply this. A piler wants to be able to see their stuff, because if they can't see it, it's gone. Okay. I know that sounds a little crazy. I'm a piler. So if it's gone, we think we're going to forget to do it. So we're kind of like super visual people. We need to see things. So maybe we have clear containers with things where we can see them quickly. Maybe we have vertical file folders where they're sitting right on our desks. And by that, I mean those, do you know, magazine holders? I use these quite frequently with my clients who are people who have to see everything out. They have to be able to know it's right there. I'm kind of a hybrid now, and a lot of my stuff ends up in the file drawer, but I will tell you, a lot of my stuff ends up on the file drawer, never to be seen again, because I'm a natural piler, so I want it out. So if you really want me to get something done, you better have it out on my desk so I can see it. So that's just the difference between a filer and a piler. There is no good or bad. There is no right or wrong. It's really important that people realize we're all individuals. We have our individual thumbprints. We have our individual styles of working. Time. Everybody wants to talk about time. Everybody thinks their problem is they don't have enough time. Sometimes your problem is you have too much stuff. Isn't it? I feel like I'm having that moment from SNL. Isn't that special? So you might be too young for that. Anyway, I'll talk about sort of one great time tool. Who knows, knowing me, I'll talk about more than one. A great time tool to start with is to plan your day the night before. Now, I want to say it doesn't have to be like 8 p.m. If you're done with work at 3 p.m., and some days I'm done at 3 p.m., reserve 10 minutes at the end of your day. So the first 5 minutes of that is going to be clearing your desk. The second 5 minutes is going to be planning your tomorrow. So that's taking a quick look at your calendar and seeing what are the most urgent items on your day on your calendar. So as I'm looking and planning, and by the way, I did this Sunday night, I'm looking and planning the entire week. I noticed that I'm heavy on meetings Monday and Tuesday, like crazy amounts of meetings. Not a lot's going to get done in my business today and yesterday. I can assure you almost nothing got done yesterday in my business. But I had really important, great meetings with people. I was networking, I was doing, so it's not like I wasn't moving my business forward. I just wasn't getting the physical stuff done of the business. That means that tomorrow I'm really not available because I need to know that I can get the to-do list done. So I take my time really seriously and I block all of it. So how does that look? So first let's talk about prioritizing the night before. I write down the 3 most important things I want to get done today. So for today, the 3 most important things were today, this meeting, all of you, prepping a little bit for it. So I'm ready. So I knew what I was going to talk about. I do have a little tiny checklist of the most important points. Another thing that was super important is I'm running a clubhouse meeting. Topic is very similar. So I don't kind of have to prepare twice. Big fan of reusing content. And the third one was to exercise because I just didn't have time in the schedule yesterday to exercise. And you may be saying, exercise? Why is that on your list of 3 priorities today? Because self-care is super important. And especially if you're working for yourself, there's only you. And you need to be the best you can be. And if our container is empty, our well is empty, we have nothing left to give. So yes, exercise was on today. So I got up super early, did a whole bunch of work, got my kiddo out the door to school. God bless my husband who drove her this morning, so I didn't have to. And I worked out. I took that time, that half hour that he gave me by me not having to drive to work out. I took a fast shower and back to work again. In my world, if it's not on my calendar, it's not going to happen. So a lot of us have to-do lists. And those are great, good intentions, but we have to take those to-do lists and prioritize them. The method I use is called the Eisenhower matrix. And I don't know, Deb, I'm hoping there's a way after I could give a link to everybody to get to the Eisenhower matrix. Okay, we'll talk about how to do that. So the Eisenhower matrix was invented by General Eisenhower, not me. I cannot take no credit. And what it does is it's separated into quadrants on a piece of paper. And then it's You determine if something's important or not important, and urgent or not important. Urgent or not urgent. So if you have a task that's important and urgent, it's the priority. The goal ultimately is to get to the tasks that are important but not urgent. And often what happens is those tasks we don't get to, and suddenly they land in the important and urgent column. The other goal is to get rid of anything that's not important and not urgent. You just shouldn't be doing it anymore. Did you know? Take a look at your business. You might be surprised to find there are things you're doing that you don't really need to do. You might have things that are urgent but not important, and hopefully there's someone you can delegate those to. Urgent but not important, my daughter's laundry. Be great if I could delegate that. I haven't quite figured that out yet, but I'm working on it. Urgent but not important, billing, invoicing out to your clients. Actually, that is pretty important. But let's say that was something a bookkeeper could do for you, or your assistant could invoice for you. So to start to look at how you use your time and where you could be putting things off to other people or eliminating them entirely. I never did anything on Twitter. I was sending tweets out. I wasn't responding to people. And I thought, I'm not getting clients from Twitter. Why am I spending time on this anymore? Not important, not urgent, out the door. So definitely worth it if you can to sit down and take a time audit. Another thing you can do, and I have my clients do when we first work together, is I have them write down for 3 days how they spent their time. So in every half hour, what did you do with your time? You know, people find out, including myself when I did this exercise the first time, that I was wasting an inordinate amount of time playing little games like Candy Crush. Now, I still play Candy Crush. I happen to really like Candy Crush, but I do it in a very defined time frame. That's usually while watching TV with my husband at night in the evening, and no longer in the middle of the day. I do it because it helps me relax. It helps me keep my mind focused. I am a chemo survivor, cancer survivor. We actually are meant to do brain games to keep our brains really good. And that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. So, but that is how I started with Candy Crush, because I was told play some brain games that keep your mind active, because, I was struggling. And that's how I found out, by the way, that I had ADHD, because between ADHD, losing all the hormones, and chemo brain, I was out of my mind. So I just think that people like me are fascinating, and I love working with them. So that's what I do now. It's really cool. It's the good silver lining that came out of having been through cancer. There are many wonderful silver linings that came out, but we're not here about that today. So let's talk information. How do you master your information? Usually the question I get first is, how do I deal with my inbox? It is so overwhelming and cluttered. And there are plenty of courses out there. And a girlfriend of mine actually just wrote the book, waiting for it to publish, on how to handle your Gmail inbox so that you can have everything categorized. And so that's not my superpower. What is my superpower is how you declutter your inbox. And I use a tool called Maelstrom, Mailstrom. And yes, it is a play on the words of Maelstrom. And Maelstrom is kind of like I am a brain injury survivor. I do stained glass. Wow. Very cool. Yeah. And I've got a client who's a traumatic brain injury survivor. And it's really a privilege to work with people who've been through so much. So with Maelstrom. So Maelstrom is this wonderful online app. You get delete your first 250 emails, I think it is, for free. So you can test run it, see if you like it. I don't gain anything from telling you about it. I mean, somewhere I have an affiliate code, but it's not important to me. I just like sharing great tools. I think it's about $60 a year, but you've probably heard of free tools out there like Unroll Me. Those tools sometimes sell your name and information to subscriber lists. So this is where it's smart to pay to play, because Maelstrom doesn't. And what your goal is to unsubscribe from stuff. Get off those mailing lists that you didn't even realize you were still on. Do you know I found things like, what was it? Babies R Us. Remember that? And some of these other baby things, Carter's. And I'm like, why am I still getting stuff from Carter's? My kid's 15. She's shopping at H&M. It doesn't even make any sense anymore. So to be amazing as you go through your inbox and start to declutter those things out and really get organized with them and get intentional about who you want to follow and what you want to do. It has an archive function. So I realized that I had emails from my parents that date back 5, 6, 7 years. And I really didn't want to sort through the emails from my parents and decide what was important, what wasn't. And I didn't have time. So I just kind of did a blanket archive, everything before 2018 that were parents from, William Johnston and Betsy Johnston. And I did that little thing and archived it all. And I thought, if mom and dad ever want something, I can go back to the archive and I can find it. Not the fastest, best version of how to handle something. But when you're staring down 21,000 emails in your inbox and you need to clean them up, you go for the quick fix of what's the fastest to get it cleaned up. Everybody has a different level of what they can handle as an email inbox. Inbox zero is a complete myth. You do not have to have 0 emails in your inbox to be a good person. That's crap. Excuse my language. Get down to whatever you kind of feel is manageable. For me, anything above about 2,000 emails and I start to feel a little, and that's just my threshold. But I had to really work to get there. You don't go from 1,000 emails to 2,000 emails in a day. Rome wasn't built in a day, neither were we. But that's a great tool for starting to master your information. The other thing I've started working on is when I had done a backup of my entire computer, somehow I had duplicated a whole bunch of files. And of course, right now, as I talk about it, I'm going to forget what it is. There is a program out there that helps you, at least with photographs, to ascertain duplicates of them. And I will get back to Deb with what it's called. I apologize. But I've started going through my files in my computer because, you don't need a duplicate marketing file. You only need it once. Back up. I do have things backed up both on an external hard drive. I have everything residing in the cloud in Dropbox. I think it's $10 a month for Dropbox Business. The reason I pay for it is because I communicate with clients there and I want them to know their information is private. So you can use OneDrive, you can use Microsoft's Google Drive, whatever these other things are called. Just know that the privacy settings are not as high as purchasing a program. Again, this has to be about paying. Sometimes you pay a little bit to play. For me, the safety of my clients, of their information is crucial. Given what I'm doing. So those are sort of my quick productivity pointers. I have gajillions more, but frankly, I'd love to hear about all of you and how you're doing. And Henry's saying something and I want to see what it is. Deb, do you want to hop back on?
Henry posted some great things. One of the things is, he's continually learning, right? And we all should be doing that. Whether, and I loved what you were saying at the very start, Catherine, because I start my day playing on this. And now it's, I go through my email, I'm still in bed type of thing. And so I'm going through my email. I'm, looking on Facebook, of course, to see, if the world ended overnight and several things. And you're right. If I were to spend 15 minutes, even if it were just reading a fiction book, a business book, whatever, a chapter, 2 chapters, whatever, that's going to start my day off differently. And so that, I love that tip. I think that is fabulous to think about, okay, let's not start by doing that because especially if you're, going to Facebook, first of all, one of the within the first 10 minutes, I saw 2 people saying that they had family members who died of COVID. and I'm thinking, this is not the way I want to start my day. And so I need to start my day off different. I love Sue's starts with music. And I mean, that's just fabulous. So, everybody, jump in and talk about, tips that you have, questions for Catherine, things like that.
I got two things if I can.
Please.
Well, actually, three things. Number one, yesterday I was sick as a dog. Today I'm going to get a COVID test.
Oh no, you were sick on your birthday. Bummer.
I was big time sick. I mean, I laid down. I went to bed at 5:30, and then I went to bed at 9, and I was out. It was bad. But the 2 points I want to bring up, Catherine, have you ever heard of Blinkist?
Blinkist?
Yes, Blinkist.
I've heard of it, but I'm not sure what it does.
What it is, Blinkist is basically, it's a audio app it does Cliff's Notes of audiobooks.
Ooh.
And so you can listen to, in 15 minutes, the overview of an entire audiobook in 15 minutes. And I just subscribed. I tried it for a week, and it's the same thing as paid for. And I left Audible because it was taking 8 hours to do, 6 hours, 8 hours to listen to a complete audiobook. And this gives you just a whole sequence of them in a short period of time. And it's a great way to get just kind of the Cliff Notes. And if you decide you like the book, you can always go get the full book,
Brilliant.
The other thing is I'm like you. This is my desk. This is my paper, and this is only a portion of it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Oh
These
my
are all.
gosh. That
Way
is
worse.
insane,
Don't worry,
man.
Henry.
Mm-hmm.
This is nothing. I
Brian.
mean, that's only what I could hold up in my hands that's sitting in front of me, and
Yeah,
that's
you gotta
because.
get your stuff organized, man.
Oh,
Not too
you
much
have
unorganized.
you have no idea how organized I am.
So we gotta get
I'm
used
like.
to it. It's like orchestration, man.
I'm a junkie. I'm an organizing junkie, but my
Man.
days are so busy that I'm taking notes all day long, and then I've got transcribes these. So I bought myself my birthday gift, which is actually shipping or it
Oh
ships
yes,
today.
you need to put the link to that in because I remember you talked about that.
Yeah, it's called the
favorite
Remarkable 2. Have you heard of it?
Say it again.
Remarkable 2. Let me see if I can find a link here. Here it is.
Remarkable Tablet 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
Similar to one of these things where you can.
I found it. You keep talking. I'll put the link in.
Thank you. Yeah. So the Remarkable 2 basically is it's a digital notepad
Yep.
where you can write down all these things, and it's like paper, and it has a pen and an eraser and the whole 9 yards. It's not cheap, all right? But the thing is it'll take it and it'll actually save it to your computer for you, so you don't have to go through and remember what you did and translate it, and converts handwriting to text and all that kind of stuff. So that was my birthday gift to myself, to organize myself better so that I don't have to read my own handwriting, which I cannot read, and try to figure out what the hell I was saying and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah,
I
I've
love
looked
it.
into doing that, and I just haven't pulled the trigger. But maybe that needs to be my birthday gift to myself. Because
I pulled the trigger. I said, damn it, I'm done with this. Because and Henry, I'm organized. You have no idea how organized I am. I'm like, see, Catherine, I have DDA, which is ADD and dyslexia. Squirrel. And so I'm one of those kind of people, but I've learned how to optimize it over the years to make it.
I myself have a bit of ADD growing up as a kid, and plus some autism, so on, among other stuff going on, but
Oh yeah, no, I'm with you. And all of us to some degree have some of that, but it's a matter of learning how to optimize it, optimize using it, and optimize how to incorporate it into your world. And so, that's the key. But all the tips that you brought up are all great things that same thing with organizing your email the night before. Every Sunday I go through my inbox and I clean out my inbox, except for this week I didn't. But normally I will clean out my inbox. So I start with like 10 emails on Monday, and then it kind of builds up over the course of the week. It's hard to
same
do
with
that every
folders
day.
too,
Yeah. Well, I fold, and it's one of three things. It either goes into, it gets deleted, it gets left in the inbox, or it gets put in a folder. If it's in the inbox, it's to do. If it's in a folder, it's to remember, and if it's deleted, it's junk.
Yeah.
So we call
Doesn't
that
have
file, act, toss. You're either filing it, you're acting upon it, or you're tossing it.
Right. And sometimes I don't have time to act on it, but I at least put it in the inbox so I know that it has to be acted upon. Because when I'm doing it at 9 o'clock on a Sunday night, nobody's going to answer.
Mhm. Right.
So anyways, those are my tips.
Cool.
And I do have to run because I gotta. I'm gonna stick around for a little bit, but I gotta run and pick up my dog and go get my COVID test and all that fun stuff. So I'll be gone.
Brian, did you know you can schedule on Gmail now?
Yes.
So a new thing I'm doing, I just learned this. This is so great to have the friend who's an author of this Gmail book. I schedule my emails. So like, let's say on Sunday night, I think of something and I'm like, oh my gosh, I really need to tell so-and-so X so they can be right on it. And then I think, oh, they're going to start working on this 9 p.m. Sunday night. I feel bad. And then Monday morning comes and I forget.
Mhm.
25 other things Monday. I now schedule it so it goes out Monday, 8 a.m.
That's perfect.
This is so great.
Mhm.
So just something to think about.
I love
Gmail
it.
does allow you to do that.
It's cool.
I do that all the time.
Of course you do, Zeph.
That's because Zeph learned from Catherine.
Well, we co-learned.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. Well, don't forget to put your contact information in. Henry just put all of his in. So what other tips do people have? Or questions? I mean, there are times where, and as Catherine said, this is, a no judgment zone. So, I know that, there've got to be times where people are struggling and they're like, I just can't get over this hump. So, love to hear from the group.
My thing is, for me, for anybody in particular that can relate to this, my New Year resolution for me is no excuses, no complaints. That's one of them. Second is take it a day at a time. 3 is never give up, and 4 is communicate. I can go on and on. But hey,
I love it. I love it. Well, one of the things, and my brain has been, now I was never the queen of focus. So, I can only blame this so much on chemo, so much on, the ongoing stuff that I take. And, I have no idea how many hours of anesthesia I have been under in the last 5 years. Just more than, I'm pretty sure there's 1 or 2 brain cells that have been killed off. But I'm real bad about, I got to remember to do, and 5 seconds later, I don't remember it, because it is squirrel or whatever. And so I started just writing, little snippets of notes down. And so I'd have all these little pieces of paper, all this clutter. And, and then of course, the problem is you look at the note and you go, wonder what that means, because I didn't write down enough, right? So this year I have pledged to do better with this. And so I started an online task list. And I think it's probably a lot like what Henry mentioned in the chat feature. It's on my phone, it's on my desktop. So as I think of something, I can put it down right then. And I've learned even if it's breaking my focus on what I'm currently doing, if I don't write it down, I'm not going to remember it. So I'm using Microsoft to do, simply because, it comes with Microsoft 365. And I haven't integrated it into anything. I mean, like it'll get pretty detailed with what it'll do, but just having that list there. And because then it's, I did remember that I needed to go do that. And it is much better than the 900 pieces of little cluttered paper that, got stuff spilled on and all those things. So Brian, are you leaving us? Are you abandoning us?
Well, no, what I'm saying is.
Oh yeah. The Apple Watch. Mm-hmm.
Apple Watch,
Yeah.
Evernote, take an audio note. It saves it and does it. That way you don't have to think about it. And so when I'm walking the dog, if I come up with a topic or something, I will literally talk it into my watch. And then when I get back, it's actually sitting in Evernote, and it transcribes it for you too. And that way you don't have to write a note. You don't have to remember, and you can actually listen back and hear what you said too.
Right. Now, is your watch set to be cellular, or do you have your phone with you?
No, Evernote will record it whether it's cellular or not. I don't have the cellular. So we'll record it on the watch, and then when you get back, it will sync.
It syncs. Cool.
Got it. Okay, because I have not had luck with trying to record a note to my watch unless I have my phone with me.
Yeah, no, Evernote will actually record it in the watch and then sync it when you get back.
Cool.
Gotcha.
Now I know Brian's taking off soon. I need to take off soon. Believe it or not, I gotta go bowling.
Hey.
Oh my God, I'm
you know
jealous.
what? Yeah.
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
by Women's League, but we missed some weeks because of COVID. We had one of our members who had
That's
COVID.
true. I like bowling too, you know,
Mhm.
and among other stuff, you know.
Yeah, and people, I think one of the things we forget is that we need to do these fun things.
Yeah, and it is fun, and like I said, but it's interesting. North Park is going for the herd immunity. We now have 45.
Oh my. Okay,
Wow.
now see, we're gonna go off here on squirrel, but I have a question for Suze real quick.
Okay.
So Channel 9, which is the big TV, one of the big TV stations in Denver, did a fundraising type of thing for the food bank in Walden, which is one of the things that Suze has been very involved with. Were you part of getting that story pitched? I was just curious.
Oh, you wouldn't believe how it was my story. What started off is that we had a gal come down from Wyoming that was a Wyoming public radio, and she was doing the Ghost Town series. And she asked me about heart and soul, and I said, there is no heart and soul of the community without these other people's yada, yada, yada. So it happened to be a Tuesday when she wanted to interview me. I said, well, why don't you interview Tina? So she did. Well, then this all goes on, and pretty soon she got interviewed by the Colorado Public Radio, and they brought up the food bank. They've also brought up heart and soul, but the Kyle picked up the food bank, and yes, and
they've raised like $68,000, folks. $68,000, which is, my guess, more than an entire year's budget.
Yeah,
or pretty close.
Well, she gets Tina does really good on that, but I have to pitch my own though. I got the fresh fruit and dairy for my seniors back. I got a grant from Mountain Park Electrics. So the weeks that we don't have the food truck here, and they get huge amounts. On those other weeks, they get milk. My seniors need milk, and this store they don't drink that. So I wanted milk and fresh fruit that aren't huge amounts. I want them to have turnips if they want turnips, or spinach, or whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The stuff that doesn't necessarily come in a food truck.
I love it. I love it.
So that's happening once a month.
Yay. So Henry, I saw. Oh, now Brian, are you really leaving us? I think
Yes,
he's really
I have to
leaving
leave,
us
yeah.
now.
I do. I have to.
And Suze, have fun bowling. If it's somebody I know, tell them hi for me. Henry, I saw you with your French horn. Were you going to play for us?
Actually, it's not
Is it
French
flugel?
horn, but it's a flugelhorn.
It's a flugel. Okay, I thought it was a flugel.
Yes.
I love that. Are you going to play?
Are you going to play? Play.
Oh
for
yeah,
us.
sure. Why not? Why not? I just want to play.
I
you
got
this.
2 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
So
that was
Suze is
like
gonna have to bowl.
Washington Jr. By the way.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So Judy or Zeph or Mandy, do you have any other tips or questions that you want to share with us?
I use Maelstrom,
Mm.
and the motivation was I got a new laptop after 8 years of service from the one I'm on today, because I couldn't figure out, if you heard noise, I was trying to figure out how to do this call on my new one. But it's been a high level motivation to get rid of every single email. And my emails date back to when I was a publisher and editor, and I found things from 2016, and I'm going, Eureka, why did I do this? And what they do, the Maelstrom I have, is they'll list every group that has ever sent me an email. So it's wonderful, because there are some groups, you know, like Forever 21. I liked that when it was in business, and I, you know, all of that. But I do not need their emails.
Right.
And they accumulate so fast into the hundreds.
And even if you unsubscribe, that doesn't always work.
It doesn't, and I have called some people. But anyway, Maelstrom is working for me, so I can get on. I don't want to transfer all these emails to a new machine. So thank you, Catherine.
I love it. I love it. Zeph.
So for me, I'm not an email person. I just am not. And I actually have an outgoing email that I tell, like a standard message that says, don't rely on this just because, it is not my go-to,
Love it.
and the clients that I work with are just not email people. If there is email that I'm waiting for, then they probably have my contact information for text that will just kind of like let each other know, because because over the years with 10,000 emails, whatever, the inbox, I didn't even want to deal with a tool that would actually do all that. So I work with a CRM. So very specific, whatever it is, there's a way, that's a process, it's a system for me to work with my clients or whatever projects, that I put everything in a CRM. So I can just create tasks within there. My team members, doesn't matter where in the world, can actually have access to the CRM. So that said, I will tell people, because I know not many people actually that connects with me or work with me actually use email, unless we, specifically say like, I am going to send you an email. Okay.
Right. It might be like a contract or something that.
Exactly. And even though if we are sending an email, there's always a, like an online automated, however we do it, whether it's Google Drive, or whatever, a sharing document that we just go there, because it's overwhelming. I think email is basically me asking for your time. And, for me, I filter out who deserves my time, or, who I want to work with. I learned this I don't know if you guys know Brendan Burchard, but I took this to heart from Brendan Burchard, and he really talked about email. And I specifically mentioned in my outgoing email, I do not check emails before 3 p.m.,
Wow.
And just like Catherine, I said, if with the like if I have to send an email, I remember that I schedule it out, because I don't want to create that expectation. I'm in my email all the time.
I love it.
So yeah, so I have that set up, and whoever that matters to me is either a shared working document, meeting space, or CRM. So depending, if I'm working with a client, I create a very dedicated space, like and I'm also allergic to Zoom. So just to let everybody know. So I have a different.
But you have a cool background.
Oh, thank you. This is not a fake background. This is not virtual background. It's an actual background. So that said, I have a space, depending on how I work a certain project is how I would create a very specific dedicated workspace. Email is just not where I go for work. Unless it's a brand new client. The other one is I do on my website. Right now, my website is being updated, but I also don't give everyone my email. So I say, if you want to contact me, the best way is just remember this, zevzen.com/contact. Because there, people who want my time, they will take the time to fill out the form. The form is just name, email, and comment, send a message. That particular form is actually is from my CRM. So I get notified when somebody really wants to meet me or whatever, and all my booking calendar is all implemented in there.
Wow, I love it.
It saves my mind from going insane because, the whole email thing, because I know for me, I too can probably, respond and react like an ADHD person, because I just want to see everything, right? Because I just want to watch. And then I'm looking 10 emails. I'm like,
we don't want anybody to feel neglected.
I know. All those 10 emails are not relevant. And then I'm like, I don't email inbox anymore.
Right.
So I had to find a system that works for me, and it hasn't changed much for the past 5 years.
So you need an assistant, a personal assistant.
Yeah. So
no,
cool.
but the thing is that for me, right? So knowing where my power is, I knew with certain tools, I don't need a personal assistant. It's just a matter of getting my system down that works for me, right? I do have a personal assistant. I actually work with virtual interns. So I have like 10, 15 interns that work for me or with me. So in organizing that, I needed to find and learn a way to be more productive. So therefore, I had to set up these processes so I'm not wasting time, because on an average week, I can be meeting people like, 5 people a day, on a one-on-one call. That can be very overwhelming.
Right.
So by the time I finish the 5th call, I feel like I want to throw up, right? So I'm like, oh my God, and I need to do all the admin stuff. So I figured out a way. And initially, I to set it up, I had a personal assistant who actually helped me set up, and then everything after that, because the system was down, the processes were established. It makes it so much easier to not have an assistant, because it kind of slows me down. So I have all the processes set up. Very important. I was in a meeting early this morning, and we're talking about tools, like this too. And I said in the beginning, it would, especially if you're looking for CRM tools and stuff like that, it can be overwhelming because it takes time. Even some of the most tech savvy people would be like, oh my God, this is so much, but it's almost important to set it up and then set up the process of how we work.
Right.
And then after that is just
and to get into that habit
correct
of making
like
sure you do it.
Anything else, right?
So cool,
Get into the habit. Once you know whether you wear your panties outside or inside, right? So pretty much you know that already, and then you just go ahead and just it comes second. It's like second nature to us. So that's pretty much my tip.
I love it.
I learned like, oh my God, the email is so overwhelming. So I kind of stay away.
I love that. I love that idea. Yes, setting boundaries, I think, is one of the big ones. So I'm so glad that you joined us today. I saw Mandy, you've gone to another room. You're going to get your steps in today, just participating in this call, right? So do you have any questions or tips?
Well, I was just going to say, like, I need to get better at staying focused when trying to do the decluttering and the organizing, because I can drift off into reading all those old emails and looking at all the pictures that I'm trying to organize. So yeah, I have to make better habits and time blocking and chunk it out into manageable.
Cool. I love it.
sections,
I love it.
think.
Well, we do have someone else who joined us. And so it's DJ PR Tampa, and I did mute you. I think you might have come in at the end, thinking you were coming in at the beginning, but hopefully you'll come back again. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up. I will keep, we can keep going, but I want to end the recording just to make it manageable for those who watch it later. Thank you so much, Catherine, for doing this. I mean, it's great. I think it's, obviously something that is always for everybody. It's a work in progress. We find things that work. I'm going to check out that Remarkable too. I mean, that tablet thing, but then I'm also thinking, oh gosh, it's something else I need to carry and blah, blah, blah. So, all those various things. We are doing this again in 2 weeks. And our topic in 2 weeks is going to be what's your WOTY? WOTY. And see, Catherine's looking very perplexed, which is exactly what I did when I had somebody ask me what my WOTY was. It is your word of the year. And, we have a lot of people who, we've talked about this at the start. New Year's resolutions come, they go. I heard today on the radio that today is the national day for the end of New Year's resolutions. People usually make it to here and then they're like, but your word of the year is something that a lot of people, and it's too bad Brian's gone, because Brian has always had a word of the year for a long time. So it's the word that they focus on. And I'm going to stay in. And so and it's so funny because I picked my WOTY, and my WOTY is focus. So I'll be the speaker next time, but we're going to talk a lot about that. But it's really going to be, I want everybody to share what their WOTYs are, and be able to talk about that, and because some of our WOTYs need help, right? We need help with our WOTYs. I am going to put the Facebook group in the chat feature. So, for those of you who are new to the group, please join us there. Obviously, we've got our contact information there. Does anybody have anything else before I actually turn off the recording and then we just chit chat? All right, seeing none, I'm going to declare us ended for the day.